Rachel de Souza, Children's Commissioner. It's nice to meet you. My name is Anna. I've read your article in the Telegraph and I feel like we need to have a chat about it because there's a lot in there that I would like to unpick. Quickly, thank you to everyone that has subscribed. Yay! Keep hitting subscribe and hit like. I'm told that that helps the algorithm as well. I don't know, don't understand it. It's like a foreign language, but if you could, it would be really good. So, Rachel de Souza, you have there's an article that you have taken part in an interview in the Telegraph, and it is extraordinary reading. To me, it's a flip-flop of contradictions. So you start off talking about deepfake porn and nudifying apps, and you say, I'd like to see the government stepping forwards and sorting this out. Me too. Just deal with it. Creating the images is illegal, so make the nudifying apps illegal. Boom, do it, done. Now that, Rachel, I agree with. That is sensible. I would like Keir Starmer to ban phones in all schools. Keir Starmer will not do that because it was the Conservatives' idea, and he will not do it because it was their idea, even though we know how much damage it does. And reading your article, I am glad finally somebody is addressing in particular what this is doing to young women, but also to all of our children in education at the minute. So I agree with you on that one, Rachel. Yes, let's go. But what I don't like is you go on in the article to say, I think the decision around VAT is an ideological one. It's a party political one, and I try and stay out of giving comment on that. But we've just made a very party political comment on nudifying apps and deep fake porn. So we've just told the government exactly what they should be doing, but we're not commenting on VAT on education. We've said we think it's ideological, but then we're going to stop there. Why? Why are you stopping there? Why have you not replied to all of the children that have written to you? Because I remind you, Rachel, in case you were confused, and you've got 22 months of your tenure left, so maybe remember it in those 22 months, you are the Children's Commissioner for children. So when children write to you, you have an obligation to write back. So when children seek your help, you have an obligation to support them. So why have you not responded to the children that have written to you about the disruptive effects of VAT on education? And I don't just mean the children in the independent sector, I mean the children in the state sector as well. So why are we gaslighting them? The answer to that needs to be a direct one. I don't want a fudging one. I want a direct answer as to why you're ignoring them. We go on to your comments about education. We're sticking with this. And you say, we've got to ensure that the state system is of such high quality that no one wants to go anywhere else. So we're ignoring parental right. We're ignoring that one size does not fit all. We're ignoring that the state sector doesn't suit all children. But going with what you've said, you want to make sure it's so good that no one else would need to. So if we go with that, just for shits and giggles, let's have a look at the next comment that you make, which is, our attendance figures are still in the doldrums. They haven't improved. The last thing we should be doing is closing schools. I absolutely do not support strike action. So that little nugget in there, our attendance figures are still in the doldrums. They haven't improved. So we're looking at a system that you say everybody should want to be in, but we can't even get the children that are in it to go to it. And then we look at all of the other things that are happening in the state sector. So teachers are leaving, contracts aren't being renewed, SEND is shot, we know that. Police support is being removed from some schools that need it. Police support is needed in some schools. I mean, that in itself, the very fact that we are removing police support, the very fact that we need police support in schools is terrifying. Phones are being allowed, even though you yourself have said how absolutely devastating they can be on a child's education, academic and emotional well-being. And we all know the dangers of smartphones. We are oversubscribed. We are underfunded. Breakfast clubs aren't working. It's a mess. Yet you say it should be good enough for everyone to go to, but we know it's not good enough for everyone to go to. So why have you not publicly opposed a policy that not only does not help the state system, it does not give the money into the state system that it promised, but it is actively drowning the state system? Why, Rachel, if you are the Children's Commissioner, are you actively supporting, because you are not opposing, a policy that is causing a disadvantage to every child in education in one way or another? That's a question I'd like you to ask. You then go on to say, we talk about the strike action in there, and in that quote you went on to say the last thing we should be doing is closing schools. I absolutely do not support strike action. In another quote you then talk about, I will never forget the chill of us closing schools. Truly we should never have done it. We should have kept them open. We should never do it again. Now that's in relation to COVID and lockdown. So twice there you've said how we should never close schools through strike or through pandemic, but it's fine through VAT. Now, let's remind ourselves that about 70 schools a year close naturally in the independent sector, and by the government's very own figures, there will be an extra 100 schools closing because of VAT on education and the impact it's having. So we've got 177 schools closing. We've got a known 54,000 children over 2 years moving, which is about 50,000 more than Bridget Phillipson ever admitted to. We know that 54,000 children minimum are being disrupted in the independent sector. And as I've said before, that doesn't come without disruption in the state sector. So if you're disrupting 54,000 in the independent sector, you may as well just double, maybe treble that in the state sector from the knock-on effects. So we should never be closing schools, says Rachel de Souza, Children's Commissioner, as we are all living on a platform where we are closing schools, but we are closing schools directly due to Labour's VAT on education policy. And that is disadvantaging children in state education and in the private sector. No child will be unscathed. I repeat, no child will be unscathed. And yet, Rachel de Souza, you are supposed to be acting for these children. You have acknowledged through different mediums the harm that closing a school does. You have acknowledged through different mediums that you will put your head above the political parapet and talk about nudifying apps, but you will not address probably the single biggest act of educational vandalism known in history, which is the addition of VAT on education, which has been absolutely pulled to shreds in the High Court case. All the facts have been laid bare. We know that Rachel Reeves was told it was going to be destructive. We know that Rachel Reeves chose to implement it at the most disruptive time. We know that Rachel Reeves was told it would raise no money. And we know that Rachel Reeves and the Labour Party knowingly implemented this policy regardless. So we know that Rachel Reeves and the Labour Party have actively disrupted children's education across the board. And you, Rachel de Souza, you finally appeared in a puff of smoke and started talking about almost everything else other than the biggest single act of educational vandalism that is affecting children. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe there's something else in your job description that says you don't have to reply to kids. Maybe there's something else in your job description that says it's actually not all children that you need to be looking after. Maybe there's something else in your job description that says, well, you only need to be seen once a year. I don't know. You can let me know, enlighten me on that. But honestly, Rachel, I think as Children's Commissioner, you've let them down. You've let them down massively. Now, I know you've got 22 months left in your tenure, so if I were you, I'd get your head above that political parapet and I would start actively doing something to address this absolute cluster that has been created by the Labour Party on purpose, and address the damage it is doing to children up and down the country, both academically, mentally, emotionally and physically. And then you might want to get the Adults Commissioner, whoever that may be, to have a look at the parents who are also being directly affected by this, financially, emotionally, physically, on every level, in every medium, in state and in independent. This country has gone to the dogs. I'm well aware of that, and you, sounds like you're well aware of it too. But what we are actively doing, which is unforgivable, is discriminating against a vulnerable minority of our demographic, and that vulnerable minority is children. So get your head above the parapet and actually start doing your job. I don't mean to be rude. I genuinely don't mean to be rude, Rachel. But I am incensed that this is the first comment we've had from you in this absolute debacle of a shit show that's been going on about VAT on education. You are long overdue.